Hello, I'm Devin, and today I'll be refuting Jennifer's claim that genetically modified foods have significant negative impacts on all organisms. Her secondary claims are that genetically modified foods causes harms to humans as well as the food itself, that genetically modified foods have a negative environmental impact, and that genetically modified foods affect those who grow them often negatively. Now, in response to her first secondary claim, genetically modified foods do not cause any harm. She claims that genetically modified foods cause an increase in allergies in humans. However, according to GMO Compass, it's not justifiable to claim that genetically modified foods are the reason for the increase in allergies. When there are other such reasons as increase in consumption of known allergens such as soy, or conventional plant breeding, which creates new proteins which act as allergens on certain people. Along with this, genetically modified foods, when they're first created, go through an allergy check, and only genetically modified foods that have a low probability of being an allergen are approved for public consumption. Now, the advocate also claims that genetically modified food have lower nutritional values. Now, this is true. However, it is very easy for us to fortify food with vitamins and minerals. This means that we add vitamins and minerals into it. Along with this, Monsanto has also said that in the near future, we will have improved nutritional value in our genetically modified crops. In response to her second secondary claim, genetically modified foods do not adversely affect the environment. She states that genetically modified crops can negatively affect crop biodiversity. However, seed companies generally introduce genetic modifications into multiple cultivars to protect biodiversity. Now, the cultivars are essentially just the individual plants, so they genetically modify a lot of them before proceeding and selling the seeds. Also, scientists keep an eye on biodiversity and are currently conducting environmental safety research on this topic. So it would be premature to say that they will negatively affect crop biodiversity before the research has even been concluded. Now, according to Damian Carrington's article in The Guardian, genetically modified crops are actually good for the environment. An example from China is that they used a genetically modified strain of cotton that had an internal pesticide. Now, this allowed the populace to cut the use of conventional chemical pesticides in half, which doubled the population of predatory insects such as lacewings and spiders. The predatory insects then went on to kill pests that were not targeted by the original internal pesticide. And this benefit was not only just for the genetically modified crops, it also extended to the non-genetically modified crops in the local environment. In response to her third secondary claim, genetically modified foods have a positive effect on those who grow them. She stated that it is financially straining for farmers to have to buy the new genetically modified seeds every year. However, according to David Cruft's paper, Impacts of Genetically Modified Crops and Seeds on Farmers, it's actually financially beneficial for farmers to use the genetically modified seeds. Genetically modified seeds allow them to have an increased crop yield, which lead to increased profits. It also allows them to cut their use of pesticides and herbicides, which cut their expenses, which once again leave them with more money. So even when they have to buy new seeds every year, they'll still come out on top. Now, the advocate also stated that farmers must follow strict contracts and guidelines to grow genetically modified crops, such as soybeans, and that it has often a negative effect on them. However, she didn't provide any examples of how they were negatively affected. In fact, very few farmers actually have problems with their contracts with companies such as Monsanto. According to Monsanto's own website, since 1997, they've only had to file suit against farmers 145 times in the U.S. This may seem like a large number, but they sell seeds to 250,000 farmers each year. Of the 145 suits filed, only 11 of them were ever taken to court, whereas the other 134 farmers admitted fault in breaking their contracts. In conclusion, genetically modified foods do not harm the food themselves or those who consume it. Genetically modified foods can actually benefit the environment, and genetically modified foods have a positive effect on those who grow. Thank you.
All right, all the structural issues are fine. You get on that first point and you argue alternate causality on the allergens, and that's a reasonable press there. I don't remember what the advocate's evidence on that particular point was, and so in contrasting the two positions, it's a little bit hard to figure which one seems to be more compelling. I did think that you had an interesting argument that says that they're already engaging in allergy checks on that. I do think you need a source citation on that. And then there was another argument that says that there's potential modification in the future on those kinds of issues. So again, I think a source citation on that would be helpful. The issue of nutritional value gets discussed briefly. Most of that is asserted on this particular point, and having heard two speeches on vitamins today, I'm not exactly sure how worried I am about the nutritional value of the food. All right. The second point on the environmental issues, I thought that you did a pretty good job addressing that. One arguing that the presupposition that a problem exists is problematic, that there isn't really any demonstration that that's going on. There's a specific piece of information that suggests that they're studying this very issue because they're concerned about it, and your position seems to be that we shouldn't be over worried about it until we have more data. The advocate, I don't remember again what the advocate's data is, and I think that's one of the reasons why you want to address some of the information that the advocate uses a little bit more directly instead of just presenting the counterclaims. I think you have very good counterclaims on these points, and I did think that the study of biodiversity, for instance, was pretty good. The example of the benefits that happen in China, I thought make a good valid point for potential benefits to the environment. And then the issue of the impact on farmers. This is all counterclaim. You had a little bit more discussion here about what the advocate's evidence was, suggesting that it's mostly assertions without a demonstration that there is a real cost to them. And then you had some evidence that documents that in the long run their crop yields are going to be higher. And then you also talked a little bit about the potential for lawsuits and diminished that quite a bit. So I thought that that was a pretty effective response on that point also. All right. I don't have any more evaluation forms on my desk.